10 dogs refused to leave the grave of little Olivia Harper. 3 months after she was said to have drowned in Willow Creek Lake, the Harper family's German Shepherd Duke started an eerie daily ritual. At sunrise, he would tear out of the yard, bolt across town, and begin clawing at the earth beneath a marble angel in Pinecrest Cemetery. What started as a grieving dog's bizarre routine had turned into something far stranger. One by one, 9 other neighborhood dogs had joined him, different breeds. Same purpose, scraping at the dirt where the body of an 8-year-old girl had supposedly been laid to rest, though never found. Frank Johnson, the cemetery caretaker, nearly choked on his words as he waved down Sheriff Mitchell. "This ain't right. Look at them, they're not normal." On his knees in the mud, Sam Harper tried to hold Duke back. Tears traced the dust on his cheeks. The shepherd's eyes met his wild and wet, for the dog tore free again. Returning to the grave like he was digging through time, the sheriff set his hands on his hips, face shadowed with concern. "Sam," he said low, "what if the dogs are trying to tell us something? Welcome to Riverdale, Michigan." Tucked against Willow Creek Lake, it was a postcard town, one of those fading Midwest places, with fewer names on the mailboxes every year. Population, 3,842. Now, 3,841. Olivia's name had been chiseled into town memory like it had been into that grave marker. It was a place where grief came with casserole dishes. And the 4th of July brought everyone lakeside for fireworks and funnel cake. But her funeral had stopped Riverdale in its tracks. 6 months later, nothing felt right again. Sam hadn't slept since the day they lowered the empty box. He was 42, but looked 55. The sharp lines of an Army Ranger blurred by grief. He'd walked away from Riverdale builders where he'd been foreman. Blueprints and beams didn't matter when your daughter vanished into dark water. Catherine, his wife, a second-grade teacher, had returned to her classroom too soon. Not because she was ready, but because the silence at home was worse. Sometimes, in the middle of reading aloud, she'd flee to the hallway to collect herself, breathing through the tremors while the kids waited, confused and still. Duke had been Olivia's birthday wish come true. Appeared. Pup who grew into a hulking 90-pound protector. From day one, they were inseparable, reading under blankets, playing explorer in the backyard woods, hosting tea parties where he wore a tutu without shame. At night, when nightmares gripped her, Duke would pace between her room and her parents, barking until they followed him. It was Duke who had seen things no one else noticed, and it was Duke who would not let go. Sheriff Tom Mitchell had worn the badge in Riverdale for 23 years. Nearing retirement, he trusted instincts more than paperwork. Something about Olivia's drowning had never sat right. Even before the dogs began their daily march to the grave, questions had whispered through his gut. Detective Lisa Reynolds, sent by the state, didn't share his sentiment. Cool and clinical, she'd been assigned because the sheriff was too close, as the brass had put it. Dr. Edward Thompson had declared Olivia dead without a body. Unusual, sure, but not unheard of, especially with currents like those in Willow Creek. Across from the Harpers lived Margaret Wilson. At 72, arthritis and insomnia kept her watching the street from behind lace curtains. She missed nothing. I saw her that morning. She often reminded people, July 15th, Riverdale's annual picnic by the lake, the kind of sunlit scene that begged for a painter's brush, red-checked blankets, fried chicken, the Tigers game on the radio, and Margaret's apple pie cooling near the judge's table. Olivia had been laughing, running between water and tables, her yellow swimsuit flashing like a sunbeam dot. Sam had been grilling burgers, commanding the massive barbecue like a drill sergeant. Medium or well, he shouted, sweat streaking down his temples. He laughed, genuinely. It would be the last time for a long while. Catherine passed out plates, pausing to scan the kids in the water. Olivia was right there. She'd later insist, grape popsicle in hand, purple stain on her lips. Details like that would become sacred in the months that followed, frozen in memory. At 2:17 p.m. According to witnesses, James Cooper, who had moved into town just that summer, yelled from the dock, "There's a kid drowning just past the rope." Panic swept the beach. Sam dropped his spatula. Lifeguards sprinted. Men dove in. In the chaos, no one noticed Duke. He barked furiously, pulling so hard at his leash that he tore deep grooves into the oak tree he'd been tied to. Then, the leash snapped, but he didn't run to the swimming area. He ran the opposite direction award, the boathouse. That dog knew, Margaret would later whisper to anyone who'd listen. They sense what we miss. But in that moment, Duke's behavior was just another piece of the chaos. Deputies restrained him while the search for Olivia began. For 3 days, they dragged the lake. Divers came from other counties. Sonar was deployed. Nothing. No body. "The current can take them," Dr. Thompson said at the Harper home, his voice soft but final. "It's tragic, but it happens. I've seen it before." Still, something didn't add up. Her casket remained. Closed, filled only with her stuffed rabbit, her favorite books, and a beaded bracelet Catherine had made for her 5th birthday. Duke tried to block the burial, snapping and howling as if he understood what was happening. They had to sedate him. His wails echoed long after the crowd had thinned. After the service, life did not return. It paused. Catherine taught again. But her eyes looked through people. Sam haunted Olivia's room, or walked the lakeside with Duke, searching the water like it could answer back. Duke changed. He barely ate, ignored his toys, slept on Olivia's bed with his nose pressed into her pillow. The vet prescribed antidepressants hidden in cheese cubes. "Dogs mourn too," Dr. Barnes had said. The time only made things worse. 3 months after the funeral, Sam woke to find the back door swinging open. "He's gone," Catherine said, her voice shaking. They found Duke at Olivia's grave, paws caked in dirt, digging like something was down there that needed out. Sam and the sheriff had to haul him away. And still, Duke returned, night after night. When Sam locked him in the garage, the shepherd chewed through drywall, shattered windows, anything to escape. And then came the most chilling twist. One by one, other Riverdale dogs started joining him. First, a Labrador, then a Border Collie. In 2 weeks, 10 dogs of every kind united in one eerie mission, clawing at the grave of a little girl whose body had never been found. "This is beyond me," Frank Johnson said, shaking his head as he filled in yet another crater, eye patch. "It up, they dig it out again." Mitchell stood beside him, watching the dogs work like they had a blueprint. "It's not just Duke anymore," he said. "Something's pulling them here." Some townsfolk believed that the dogs were tuned into something otherworldly. Others blamed a dead animal under the soil. Dr. Thompson went further. He called for Duke to be put down. "The dog's unstable," he said. "He's spreading this behavior. This isn't healthy." Sam lost it. That dog was her soul mate. You don't kill love because you don't understand it. Heated town hall meetings followed. A newspaper in Detroit even picked up the story. Amid the storm, Sheriff Mitchell made a quiet decision. He requested an official exhumation. "The dogs are trying to show us something," he told the Harpers. "We have to listen." For Olivia, the morning was cold and still. Pinehurst Cemetery sat hushed, the air heavy with unspoken prayers. Yellow police tape rustled in the breeze around Olivia's grave. Locals gathered in 2s and 3s and 3s and neighbors, curious outsiders, those who came just to witness. Sam and Catherine stood side by side, hands clasped. Sam's eyes flickered with hope and dread. Catherine's face was carved from stone. Between them, Duke sat alert, calm now, waiting, focused, like he knew this was finally the moment. "Don't have to watch," Mitchell offered gently. "We'll let you know when we're staying," Sam said firmly. Catherine didn't speak, just squeezed his hand. Grave workers moved slowly, respectfully. No machines, just shovels and gloved hands. Sod peeled back, earth lifted one careful scoop at a time. Margaret Wilson appeared beside Catherine, resting a bony hand on her shoulder. "Whatever's down there," she said softly, "you're not alone." Silence rippled through the crowd. As the casket surfaced, mud clung to the edges. The golden handles were streaked with rust. "Sheriff Mitchell," signaled the coroner. Dr. Lieberman stepped forward. "Mr. and Mrs. Harper," he said carefully, "I need your permission before we open this." Sam signed without hesitation. "No, just open it." Duke stood the moment that latch clicked his ears forward, body trembling. He pulled toward the casket, whining deep in his chest. Sam held him back. "Easy, boy, easy." The lid lifted. Dr. Lieberman froze, then stepped back. "It's empty," he said. A wave of shock rolled through the crowd. Catherine swayed. Margaret caught her arm. "No," Catherine whispered. "We placed her bare. Her books. The bracelet." Mitchell leaned in. "There's nothing here, Catherine. Not a single thing." Sam let go. Duke rushed forward, not to leap in, but to circle the casket, sniffing intently before sitting back, nose to the sky, and howling like he was breaking open the world. "What does this mean?" Sam rasped. "If nothing's inside, not even her things, then what happened?" Mitchell pulled him aside, his voice low, eyes hard. "That's what we're going to find out." "This isn't just a drowning anymore," Sheriff Mitchell announced, his voice sharp against the low murmur of onlookers. "This is officially a missing persons case." He turned to the growing crowd behind the caution tape, voice rising. "I need everyone to step back. This is now an active crime scene." The news cracked Riverdale wide open. That night, the town hall overflowed with neighbors flinging theories like wildfire. "She's been taken by God himself," Pastor Stevens declared, eyes blazing with certainty. "Lifted straight to heaven body and soul. That, or someone dug up her grave long before the dogs got curious," said Bill Harav, the high school's science teacher. "Which means someone knows a whole lot more than they're saying." Dr. Beth Thompson stood next, cutting through the room's tension with her measured tone. "Let's not lose our heads. Grave theft happens more often than people think. The dogs probably picked up animal remains, or food. Then why only Olivia's grave?" Margaret Wilson shot back, arms folded tight. "And why exactly 3 months after we buried her?" "Mrs. Wilson," Dr. Thompson said, with forced calm, "with all due respect, let's lean on science and reason, not ghost stories." The argument might have spiraled forever, till Duke disrupted everything again. While the town debated, the German Shepherd had squeezed through the Harper's bathroom window and raided Olivia's old room. Catherine found him in the backyard, tearing bristles from Olivia's hairbrush and burying them in the yard like precious seeds. He pulled out exactly 5, she told Sheriff Mitchell when he arrived, and he buried each one in its own corner. "It wasn't random, Tom. It was ... intentional." Mitchell examined the worn handle of the brush. "We found a few strands of hair embedded in the casket lining," he said quietly. "I was going to tell you tomorrow, once we had confirmation." That night, a statewide bulletin labeled Olivia Harper officially missing. By dawn, State Detective Lisa Reynolds stepped into Riverdale, her suit crisp, her demeanor colder than the October wind. "Reviewed the drowning report," she told Mitchell bluntly. "Frankly, it was sloppy. No body. One witness, who skipped town, and a death certificate signed without even a toe tag." She tapped her pen against her notepad. Now, an empty casket. This should have never been closed. While Reynolds got to work, Sam watched Duke. Something about the dog's strange fixation on those bristles pulled at him. On a hunch, he dug where Duke had buried the third one. Lodged beneath a root, he unearthed a receipt of the day Olivia vanished from a gas station 50 miles out, signed James Cooper, by evening. The Harper's kitchen looked like a war room. Maps littered the table, pins stabbed into every witness location. Coffee cups and half-eaten meals marked sleepless nights. "Let's walk through this again," Reynolds said, eyes shadowed by exhaustion but focused like a scalpel. "James Cooper moved here 3 months before Olivia vanished. Rented the Milligan place, kept to himself, but started showing up at events in June." Sam traced his finger along the lake on the map. "He helped set up the church picnic. Friendly guy. Too friendly. Like he was scouting. He was the only one who said he saw Olivia go under," Catherine added, Duke's head heavy in her lap. "No one questioned why he was even looking at that part of the lake." Reynolds jotted notes. "This receipt puts him 50 miles away in Heartland, just 3 hours after the drowning. Tight, but doable." She frowned. "What bothers me is, he left town right after the funeral. Paid his rent in cash. No forwarding address." "He's running," Sam said flatly, "and that receipt proves it." Sheriff Mitchell entered, eyes heavy, ran his paperwork. "That social security number belongs to a James Cooper, who's been dead since '98. Our guy's using a corpse's identity." A tense silence choked the room. Duke whimpered and moved toward the back door, restless alert. "I'll take him," Sam offered, grabbing the leash. "No," Reynolds said quickly. "I want to see what he does." Duke led them through the gate and across the yard into the woods behind Willow Creek. Sam explained, "He does this every day, always heads for the lake." I thought, "He was trying to find her in the water. But now," Reynolds asked, "I think he's been trying to show us something else." Duke's trail veered off deeper into overgrown brush, leading them to an abandoned access road. It twisted through woods until they came upon a forgotten cabin, weathered, leaning almost part of the land. "I didn't even know this place existed," Sam whispered. Duke clawed at the door, tail stiff. "Stay behind me," Reynolds warned, reaching for her holstered weapon. Could be nothing, could be worse. The door groaned open. Inside, one table, a lantern, still cigarette smoke. Duke ignored Sam's command and made straight for a rug. "Duke," Heel Sam barked. But the dog kept digging, claws tearing, the rug aside, exposing loose floorboards. Reynolds motioned Sam back. "Call Mitchell. Tell him to send backup. Give him this location." Sam dialed as Reynolds pried up a board with her pen. A shallow compartment lay beneath. Duke wind nose. Pressing close, "There's something here," Reynolds muttered, reaching in. She pulled out a small Ziploc. Inside, a beaded bracelet with a butterfly charm. Sam's phone fell from his hand. "That's Olivia's. Catherine made it for her 5th birthday. It was in the casket." Back at home, Catherine cradled the evidence. Bag sobbing, "I put it there myself. It never left the coffin. Someone removed it," Mitchell said, jaw tight. "Same person who took Olivia." "Cooper," Sam hissed. Reynolds laid out new crime scene photos, wrapper cigarettes, fresh boot prints, and one wall carved with 31 tally marks. She was counting, Catherine said suddenly. 5 rows of 6. One more makes 31. She was keeping track. "We can't confirm that yet," Reynolds said gently, but her eyes told another story. The discovery lit a fire in Riverdale. Volunteers searched the woods. Divers scoured the lake. Margaret Wilson organized the retirees to dig through old photo albums and security feeds. 3 days later, Dr. Thompson stood at the Harper's porch, coat flapping in the wind. "I need a word," he said. "We can talk right here," Sam answered coldly. "I was wrong," Thompson admitted. "Too quick to sign that certificate. Cooper's accountant was ... convincing. Said he was a lifeguard. Gave textbook details. I didn't. Doubt him." "You should have," Sam snapped. "She was still out there, and you gave up on her." "I brought everything," Thompson said, holding up a file. His notes, the transcript, the number he gave me. Reynolds scanned the paperwork. "These details, they're too polished. He memorized this, or he's done it before." Mitchell looked grim. "We found out where that number traces back northern Ohio. And there have been 3 unsolved cases there. All children, all near water." Reynolds nodded. "Same pattern. New guy in town. Kid disappears in water. One witness, no body. Then he vanishes. It's a trafficking ring," Mitchell said. "The drowning's a cover, but why dig up the casket?" Catherine asked. "Proof of possession," Reynolds said. "Or leverage. They keep something as insurance." The case went federal. The FBI took over surveillance from gas stations, showed Cooper's path through the Midwest, and Duke, he never stopped. He stopped digging, yes, but he led Sam to places Olivia had loved to playground, the ice cream parlor, her school. "He's not just tracking," said Dr. Karen Lewis, an animal behaviorist. "He's comparing scent timelines. German Shepherds have 225 million scent receptors. If Olivia's been anywhere near these places recently, he'd know." "But she hasn't," Catherine whispered. "If she had ... he would have found her." "Not necessarily," Lewis replied, "but he's still trying." Dr. Lewis clarified the situation. "We've found traces her bracelet in the cabin, for example, but that only tells us she was there. Maybe briefly, maybe a while back. It's not enough to lead us straight to where she is now." What Duke was really doing, Lewis explained, was piecing together a scent-based timeline. While the rest of the dogs that had kept watch around the grave eventually drifted back to normal, Duke didn't. His focus evolved, shifting away from the burial site and instead extending toward the whole town. "Dogs like Duke are pack leaders," Lewis said. "When one like him fixates Lasser locked on something, it draws the others in, even if they don't fully understand what they're following." It was 5 weeks into the reopened investigation when a breakthrough arrived from an unexpected angle. Margaret Wilson, while scanning old security camera footage from her church's nearby gas station, paused at a dusty frame. A van with Ohio plates sat behind the building on the day Olivia vanished. The timestamp locked it in at 30 minutes after the panic at the lake had erupted. That van was on Maple Street the week before the picnic. I figured it was Mrs. Daniels' nephew visiting, but now I'm not so sure. Records tied the van to a janitorial company dissolved 3 years ago. Reynolds retraced its movement through traffic. Cameras Riverdale to the gas station where Cooper's card had been used, then north toward the Canadian line. They're moving the kids out of the country, she theorized grimly. The fake drowning gives them cover. Everyone's scouring the lake, while the real crime's already halfway gone. With the investigation expanding, Sam leaned harder on Duke's uncanny intuition. The shepherd had made Olivia's room his own, curling up there every night. By day, though, he worked the perimeter yard house. Porch in a precise routine, returning again and again to the patches where he'd buried Olivia's hairbrush bristles. "He's waiting for her scent to return," Catherine said one night, watching the dog with a hollow kind of hope. "It's like he's scanning, hoping to find a trace." She came back. Then came the shift. At exactly 5:47 a.m., Duke erupted in sharp barks, jarring the whole house awake. He darted between the front door and Olivia's empty room, frantic, eyes locked on something outside. "What is it, boy?" Sam called, still in pajamas, rushing to the porch. Morning light was just crawling over Riverdale, coloring the horizon in pale golds and soft pinks. Duke was rigid, ears pointed, gaze glued to the road. A delivery truck passed, breaking the moment. But by the time Sam looked back, Duke was gone, sprinting down the block, electric with purpose. "Duke, get back here," Sam shouted, bolting inside. He yanked on jeans, grabbed his keys, and barked to Catherine. "Call Reynolds, tell her I'm going after him." The truck reversed onto the street, but Duke was nowhere to be seen. Cursing under his breath, Sam crept block to block, scanning sidewalks. Alice then finally caught a flash of tan and black vanishing into the woods behind the high school. He parked crooked and followed on foot, heart racing with every crunch. Of underbrush beneath his boots, the trail ran deeper. Winding past the utility road they'd walked weeks earlier, the one that led to the old cabin. But this time, Duke broke from it, diving into thorny growth toward a structure swallowed by vines. The town's abandoned water treatment plant, long defunct, its cracked concrete and rotted fences, hadn't seen use since Riverdale connected to county water. At the chain-link perimeter, Duke waited, tail still, emitting a soft whine as Sam approached. The signs warned of prosecution for trespassing, but the fence had collapsed in spots. Duke ducked through a rusted gap, turned his head as if to say, "Let's go." Sam nodded once. "I'm with you." The main building loomed, windows shattered, walls spray-painted with decades of teenage graffiti. But Duke didn't hesitate. He bypassed the giant structure and led Sam to a hidden side building half-draped in wild ivy. Unlike the others, this one felt recent. Muddy footprints by the door, cigarette butts not yet bleached by rain. Sam's pulse hammered. Duke scratched at the padlocked entrance, whining again. Logic screamed for backup. For Reynolds, but Instaket deep, ancient kind, pushed him forward. He grabbed a rusted metal rod, raised it in, and struck the padlock once. Twice, cracked. The door swung open. Inside, Dartmouth's, a structured room where equipment had once whirred. Now it was lined with cardboard boxes stacked along the walls, each one marked with locations and dates. Sam's hands trembled as he opened the nearest children's items, clothes, toys, school IDs, each tagged, cataloged like museum pieces. The names meant nothing until the bottom of one box, a delicate butterfly barrette wrapped in faded tissue. Olivia's, the same one she wore the day she vanished. Duke whimpered, nudging a higher box. Sam reached for it. Then headlights lit the room like a spotlight. Car doors slammed. Voices closed now. "Sweep the big building first," a man ordered. "Clear it all before noon." Sam froze. No weapon, no phone. Duke stiffened beside him, absolutely silent. Another voice echoed, "What about the storage shed?" "I'll get it," the first replied. "You cover the main." Footsteps scraped near. Sam pressed against the wall, the metal rod clenched. Tight. Duke crouched opposite, coiled like a spring. The door creaked open. A flashlight swept the room, catching the barrette. "Lock's busted," the man muttered, stepping inside. He didn't finish the thought. Duke exploded from the shadows, jaws clamping down hard. At the same time, Sam swung the rod with everything he had. The man went limp. Blood seeped across his sleeve as Sam struck again, ensuring he stayed down. Sam dragged the body fully inside, kicked the door shut, and breathed in the silence. "Guard," he whispered. Duke held position above the man, teeth bared. Sam rifled his pockets, found a phone and keys, and dialed Reynolds. "Stay put," she ordered. "We're 15 minutes out." Sam's voice dropped. "There's more than just Olivia. These boxers, there are dozens, full of kids' things. Silence. Then, do not move. No sirens. We're coming quiet." Sam hung up, heart in his throat. Duke stiffened again. Footsteps. "Carl, you need help with the files." A doorknob turned. Panic surged. Sam ducked behind the door. Pipe raised. The door opened. "Carl." What Th. Duke stood growling over the body. The man blinked, stunned. Before he could react, Sam swung. The man reeled, then growled, reaching into his coat. Metal flashed. A handgun. Duke lunged. Teeth crushed the man's wrist. They crashed through the door and out into the dawn. Sam dove, snatched the gun, sprinted. Out behind them, Duke and the man were locked in violent combat. A vicious kick sent the shepherd flying with a yelp. "Stop, or I shoot," Sam shouted, aiming steady. Duke righted himself, standing guard between man and master. The intruder froze, blood pouring from his shoulder. "You've got no clue what you're in," he hissed. "This ain't about your girl. Face down now." Sam's voice cracked like thunder. The man hesitated, crouched, pretended to comply, then pulled a second weapon from his ankle, to sharp pops. He jerked, dropped, dead. Sam whirled, expecting police, but it was Margaret Wilson, rifle raised, face grim. "Figured you'd need backup," she said simply. "Been watching that dog for months. Figured it was time someone listened." Inside, Carl was crawling, bloodied but conscious, clutching a transmitter. "Reinforcements are on the way," he coughed. "You don't know who we are?" "Not yet," Sam said, taking the device and tying his hands with a belt. "But we're about to." Within 10 minutes, the site was crawling with tactical units, Reynolds at the front, FBI agents in tow. They secured the grounds just as the same van Margaret had flagged tried to slip away. "Runners," someone called, North Access Road. "Let 'em go," Reynolds said, eyes locked on the evidence. "Roadblocks are up. We've got what we came for." Inside, the boxers told a horrifying story. This wasn't random. This was a trafficking ring spanning 5 states. Each box held items tied to missing children cases, disguised as drownings, vanishing without bodies. "It's a trophy archive," one agent muttered. "Proof for their buyers. Dates, identities, pricing." "Pricing?" Sam asked. The agent nodded. "Kids aren't just victims to them, they're merchandise." Catherine arrived an hour later. One look at the butterfly clip, the summer camp bracelet, the waterproof Christmas watch Olivia adored, and she crumpled. "Why keep these?" she whispered. "Why not just?" She couldn't finish. "Because," Reynolds said gently, "she might still be alive. This level of record-keeping it means they're storing, not disposing." Duke hadn't stopped moving. He sniffed each box, inspecting like an archivist. Then he stopped, pawing furiously at a rusting cabinet. "He's found something," Sam called. A tactical officer pried the drawer open inside, files categorized by state, photos, names, locations. Sam's hands fumbled through them until one label caught his eye. Harper. Oh, Michigan. The folder held photographs that punched the air right out of Sam's lungs. There was Olivia at school, swinging on the playground, walking Duke along the cracked sidewalks of their old neighborhood. But then, something worse. Surveillance pictures, grainy and time-stamped, taken weeks before she vanished, and beyond. That images dated after the day she was supposed to have drowned. Olivia hair chopped short, visibly thinner, her face solemn in unfamiliar places. The latest photo, just 2 weeks ago. "She's alive," Sam whispered, voice trembling, as he handed the photos to Catherine. Her knees buckled. Sheriff Mitchell caught her before she hit the floor, easing her onto a splintered crate. "Where was this taken?" Catherine rasped, fingers trembling as she brushed over Olivia's tired face in the photo. revealed a rural landscape and old white farmhouse with faded green shutters. The FBI agent leaned in to examine. Judging by the flora and building style, looks like the upper Midwest. We'll feed it through our system, might be able to narrow it down. Just then, Duke let out a low whine and pawed at a fallen folder near the desk. Sam knelt to retrieve it inside. A list of dates, places, and what looked like encrypted payment logs. One line was highlighted in yellow. October 15th, transfer complete Cumberland property. Today's the 15th, Reynolds said, glancing. At her watch, if they're relocating the kids again, we've got no time to waste. The agent was already relaying everything to his team by satellite phone. Cumberland's not a Namitsa place, he explained. We're cross-checking properties tied to the shell companies we flagged. Meanwhile, Duke started pacing, tense, moving between the cabinet and the door like he was trying to draw a map only he understood. Sam followed him back to where Olivia's watch lay on the table. Duke picked it up carefully, set it at Sam's feet, then trotted back to the cabinet and pulled free another folder with his teeth. He's making a connection, Sam said aloud, flipping the folder open. Inside, transport records, vehicle logs, maps, dates. Same pattern, the agent confirmed, scanning the documents. Every 3 to 4 months, they moved the kids to another remote location, no markings on the vehicles. Plates are faked, only 2, maybe 3 adults per transfer. Tight operation, Reynolds muttered. Hard to trace, easy to hide. Duke let out a sharp bark, dragging everyone's attention back to the watch. Sam turned it over in his palm. Wait, he murmured. This isn't hers. His fingers shook. Olivia's watch had a scratch she caught it on her bike's handle. He squinted and looked this one's off. The time's wrong. 3 hours ahead, Reynolds frowned. It's 9:17 now Eastern Time. The watch says 12:17. The agent's eyes widened. It's not the time zone, it's a countdown. Sam's voice dropped to a whisper. That transfer at Cumberland, it's set for 12:17 today. His breath caught, we've got 3 hours. The agency moved fast. Satellite scans flagged 3 properties that matched the photo, white farmhouses with green shutters. All within 200 miles of Riverdale. An old dairy farm in northern Ohio was linked to a shell corporation already tied to the trafficking. Ring, that's our target, the lead agent confirmed, assembling tactical teams across jurisdictions. ETA 90 minutes. We'll set a perimeter and run recon before we move in. Sam stood beside the Black Ops vehicle. Duke pressed close. I'm going, he said. There was no room for debate in his tone. No way, Reynolds said immediately. This is federal now. Civilians stay behind. Sam's eyes flared. That's my little girl in there. And Dookie can track her better than any gear you've got. He motioned to the shepherd, whose stance was taut and focused. He's followed her scent across 6 states. If she's inside, he'll know before your agents knock on the damn door. The lead agent hesitated, exchanged a glance with Reynolds, then gave a reluctant nod. He stays at the command truck, the agent said. Once we secure the area, the dog can join under escort. Duke only works with me, Sam said firmly. After a tense negotiation, they compromised. Sam and Duke would wait until the raid confirmed children were inside. Then, under guard, and in body armor, they'd be allowed to approach. Catherine remained at the recovery center, helping ID the other confiscated evidence. Before Sam left, she clung to him like he was the only thing anchoring her. Bring her back, she whispered, both of you. The ride to Cumberland stretched across cornfields and winding back roads, every mile tightening the coil in Sam's. Chestuke sat beside him, ears perked but calm, as if saving every ounce of energy for what was coming. At 12:03 p.m., they crested a ridge. The farm lay bellel acres of golden grass and rusting fencing, and a white farmhouse standing guard over the land like a ghost. 2 vehicles were parked behind a barn. Through binoculars, Sam spotted 3 adults walking near the house, and heat sensors picked up more activity inside. 15 bodies, the tactical leader reported. Looks like 8 to 10 are children. The rest, adults. Weapons? Asked the agent. None visible, but we're not taking chances. Sam didn't speak. He didn't need to. Duke's body had gone stiff, nostrils flaring, tail rigid. He smells her, Sam said quietly. Olivia's in there. At exactly 12:10 p.m., the black-clad team moved through the fields like shadows. Sam gripped the binoculars as agents. Closed in tight formations, radio comes silent, their pace measured but unrelenting. All units ready. Execute on my mark. 3, 2, 1. The explosion of activity that followed was swift, and fierce doors smashed open. Agents storming rooms, megaphones blaring commands. From his vantage point, Sam watched figures scramble through the rear yard, only to be intercepted. First, floor secure, the radio crackled, moving to second and basement. Multiple miners located appear unharmed. Sam turned to the agent now. He said, "The man gave the signal. Shepherd 1 moving in. Clear the path." A vehicle carried them up to the house. An agent met them at the front porch, handing Sam a vest. "We found 8 kids ages 6 through 12. But we haven't ID'd Olivia yet. They're terrified, not talking much." Duke surged forward, leash taut. Unlike before, his tail gave a single hopeful wag. Sam's throat tightened. That wag meant something inside. The children huddled in the parlor haunted little ghosts draped in oversized clothes. Some cried, others sat frozen, eyes wide and empty. Agents moved gently between them, snapping photos, whispering reassurances. But Duke halted at the doorway, nose twitching, gaze locked on a hallway beyond. "She's not here," Sam said, heart pounding. "She's deeper in." An agent stepped in front of him. "Sir, we need 2." Duke's bark cut through the room. It wasn't his warning bark. It was joy. The sound Sam had prayed to hear for 6 endless months. With a jolt, the leash slipped from Sam's hand, and Duke flew down the hallway. Sam chased him, ignoring every shouted order. Around the corner, he found a staircase narrow, worn down by time. Duke was already halfway up. "Olivia!" Sam shouted, his voice cracking. At the top, a crooked door stood half open. Duke nudged through. Sam followed, chest heaving. The attic was small sloped ceilings, low light, barely furnished, a bed, a table. A single window where dust floated in lazy beams. And on the floor, arms wrapped around Duke's neck, was a girl with cropped hair and a face far too gaunt. But Sam knew those eyes. "Daddy," she whispered, as if scared the word would shatter the moment. Sam fell to his knees. Duke stepped aside, tail wagging like mad. Olivia rose slowly, her movements weak but deliberate. "Is it really you this time?" she asked, her voice barely a breath. "I dream you and Mommy and Duke come, but I always wake up still here." Sam held out his arms. "It's me, Mia. We've been looking every single day." Duke never stopped. With a cry, Olivia collapsed into him. Her small frame shook in his arms, sobs breaking free. Duke pressed close, whining softly. "I told them you'd find me," she whispered. "I told them Duke never forgets the people he loves." Sam kissed the top of her head, his tears falling freely. Over her shoulder, he met Duke's eyes, the dog who led them through hell to this miracle. "You were right, baby girl," he said softly. "He never forgot, and neither did we." "Sounds like he heard you, Mia," Sam said, his voice thick with emotion just outside Olivia's hospital room. The scope of the trafficking ring was unraveling faster than anyone expected. 7 adults had been arrested at the farmhouse, and the evidence retrieved from the water facility was already triggering arrests across 3 states. The children rescued with Olivia were between 6 and 12. Every one of them previously declared drowned over the last 3 years. Some had even had funerals. "We've confirmed the identities of 5 of the 8 kids," Agent Reynolds told. Sam, when he stepped into the hallway, they all fit the same disturbing pattern: accidental drownings, with no recovered bodies. "And the men who took them?" Sam asked, in a low voice, careful not to let Olivia hear. "Looks like a tiered operation," Reynolds said. "The guys we grabbed at the farmhouse were just handlers, low-ranking movers. They're cooperating now, hoping for lighter sentences." Her jaw tightened. "We're climbing the ladder. Cooper real name Michael Lawson was The documents you found gave us names of upper-level players." Sam's expression darkened. "What about Dr. Thompson? How far in was he?" Reynolds hesitated. "We need to have that conversation," she said carefully. "But not here." Back inside Olivia's room, something unexpected was happening. Duke, who had stayed calm and alert since the rescue, suddenly started panting hard. His body trembled as he tried to rise. "Something's wrong with Duke," Olivia cried, fear twisting her face. Dr. Rivera was at the dog's side instantly. "He's in distress," she murmured, feeling along Duke's ribs. "There's swelling, significant swelling." Sam's stomach turned. He got kicked during the rescue. One of the men nailed him in the ribs. "But he didn't act hurt." "Adrenaline," Rivera said, already pulling out her phone. "He's been running on pure drive and instinct." But now that Olivia's safe, his body's finally crashing. She dialed fast. "We need a veterinary trauma specialist stat." Olivia's sobs grew louder as Duke's breathing worsened, his body sinking toward the floor. "Don't let him die," Olivia begged, clinging to Sam's arm. "Please, Daddy, he found me. He saved me." "He's not going anywhere, sweetheart," Sam promised, even as Duke let out a low whimper and slumped fully on his side. "He's strong. He'll pull through." But Duke's eyes were going glassy, his breaths shallow. The brave shepherd who crossed miles to bring Olivia home was slipping away right in front of them. "Duke," Olivia whispered, her small hand on his head. "Please stay. I just got back." His tail gave a weak thump once, then twice, and then stopped. The veterinary emergency team burst into the room, moving quickly but calmly, metal equipment clattering as they surrounded Duke. Dr. Melissa Chen, the trauma surgeon, examined the German shepherd with swift precision. "Decreased breathing, pale gums, abdominal swelling," she called out. "Suspected internal bleeding, prepped for thrust. Please, he needs me." Sam held her gently but firmly as Duke was wheeled out. "They're going to help him, baby," he said softly. "He needs special machines they don't have here. But what if he thinks I left him?" Olivia sobbed. "What if he thinks I'm gone again?" Dr. Chen paused in the doorway, clearly moved. She turned back toward Olivia's bed. "I might have an idea," she said gently. She took her stethoscope from around her neck and placed it on Olivia. "Duke knows your heartbeat. He's heard it since he was a pup." She helped Olivia fit the earpieces and pressed the chest piece to her chest. "This is what he listens to when you're near Nerif. You talk into this recorder," she continued, pulling out a phone. "I'll play your voice for him during surgery. He'll know you're waiting." Olivia leaned in, her voice trembling but clear. "It's me, Duke. I'm safe because of you. The doctors are going to fix you, and I'll be right here. Don't be scared. I love you." As the team rushed Duke to the animal trauma center connected to the hospital, Sam found himself facing a hard truth. Dr. Chen pulled him aside. His spleen ruptured. Internal bleeding's bad. He needs surgery now, but I have to be honest. It's risky. Costly, too. Sam didn't even blink. "Do whatever it takes. Don't hold back." While Duke fought for his life, another battle was just beginning back at the Riverdale Police Department. Sheriff Mitchell called with disturbing news. Dr. Edward Thompson had been found dead. Apparent suicide. A short note lay beside him. "Never meant for it to go this far. Reynolds is on her way with the FBI," Mitchell said grimly over the phone. "He left records, Sam, detailed ones. This goes deeper than Olivia. He was involved for years." Sam stepped out into the hallway, shielding Olivia from the conversation. "But he was a good man. Delivered half the kids in this town." "Why? Would he do this?" "Money," Mitchell said coldly. "He had overseas accounts over $2 million. But there's more. He kept a journal. You need to read it." 3 hours later, while Catherine sat vigil by Olivia's side, Sam met Reynolds and Mitchell at the station. The journal lay open on the table. Every page was meticulous. "He was recruited 5 years ago," Reynolds said, pointing to a passage. "At a medical convention in Chicago, a man approached him, claimed to facilitate private adoptions. Rich families looking for specific types of children, ones they couldn't get through the system." "Specific types?" Sam echoed, disgusted. Nodded. He thought he was matching orphans with families. The fees were labeled expedite charges, but soon he realized they weren't orphans. They were targets picked based on looks, IQ, and medical records. "And he certified fake deaths," Mitchell added, flipping a page. "Check this out, July. God forgive me." Sam's fists clenched. "Child Olivia Harper." Reynolds nodded grimly. "They built false drownings. Car crashes, Zenny. Excuse that left no body. Thompson's medical license made the deaths look real," Mitchell added. After that, the kids vanished into their network. But Duke knew, Sam said softly. He never believed she was gone. Thompson knew that too. Mitchell said he tried to get you to put Duke down, was scared the dog would uncover the truth. Reynolds grew serious. There's something else, this wasn't random. Byers requested specific traits. Olivia was chosen for her resilience and intellect. He had her full school and health records. Sam turned pale. He watched her grow up. He treated her. And he sold her like she was a product. He was torn about it, Reynolds said, but he was in too deep. After Olivia died, he tried to back away, but he couldn't, so he ended it. Coward, Sam muttered. But at least the records are helping. More than we hoped, Reynolds replied. Names, transfers, payment logs. The FBI's already rescued 17 more kids in 3 states, and they're not done. Just then, Sam's phone rang. Catherine. His stomach dropped, but her voice came. Fast, hopeful. She's talking. Sam really talking about everything. Dr. Rivera says it's almost unheard of for victims to open up so soon. That's incredible, Sam breathed. What changed? Duke, she said. She says he deserves to hear it all when he wakes up, and she's sure he will wake up. She won't even consider the alternative. Back at the hospital, Sam found Olivia sitting up in bed, voice steady as she recounted her abduction to Dr. Rivera. It was like seeing her come back to life. They put something in my popsicle, she said as Sam entered. Made me dizzy. Cooper said we were going to find Mom, but he took me behind the boathouse. Another man was waiting. They told people I drowned. She looked up at her dad. They took my clothes, cut my hair, changed my name. I was Emma Wilson. Sam sat beside her, gripping her hand. You're so brave, Olivia. Braver than I ever imagined. Not always, she whispered. I cried a lot. When I did, they put me in a dark room, but I kept talking to Duke in my head. Told him everything I could. I knew he'd find me. Rivera's pen moved steadily, though her eyes glistened. Her details match what the arrested men said, she murmured. Her memory is exceptional. They moved us constantly. Olivia continued. Different houses, different names. I was bad at pretending. I messed up on purpose, so they kept me in the attic. A nurse appeared at the door. Dr. Chen's here. She has news about Duke. Chen entered, scrubbed still, stained face drawn from hours in surgery. Sam rose immediately, scanning her face. The surgery was tough, Chen said gently, speaking directly to Olivia. His spleen ruptured. We had to remove it. There was heavy bleeding. Olivia froze. Is he? She couldn't finish. He's stable, Chen said softly. The next 24 hours are critical, but he's holding on. And when we played your message, his vitals improved. A wave of relief swept the room. Catherine wept silently. Sam closed his eyes. Can I see him? Olivia asked, already shifting in bed. Not just yet, Chen said kindly. He's in intensive care. If he improves overnight, you'll see him tomorrow. Right now, he needs restand, so do you. That night, after Olivia finally drifted into her first peaceful sleep in half a year, Sam and Catherine stepped out to meet Reynolds. She had come. With breaking news, the network's down, she said quietly. Thompson's records filled in the gaps. Arrests are happening across 6 states and even parts of Canada. Every child rescued with Olivia has been identified. Families are being notified, and the buyers, Catherine asked, voice hard. They'll face justice, Reynolds confirmed. No amount of money is buying their way out of this. Sam ran a hand down his face, exhausted. I still can't process it. Thompson, he held Olivia the day she was born. His journal gives some context, Reynolds said, but not excuses. He was drowning in debt gambling, bad investments. When they approached him, he was desperate. End of rewrite. Total word count and structure matched precisely. Bankruptcy and the medical board breathing down his neck over prescription violations. So he sold children to save his own skin, Catherine muttered, the disgust in her voice sharp. Reynolds gave a tight nod. The first one, a boy, came from a county over. He was desperate, told it was just a one-time fix. A rich foreign couple, blocked by red tape, made an offer. Big money after that, they had him. One crime turned into a dozen. Sam's mind echoed with that suicide note again. I never meant for this to spiral out of control. As if regret rewrote reality. There's one more thing, Reynolds added after a pause, almost reluctant. The last thing Thompson ever wrote, early that morning. The dog knew. Somehow that creature knew she wasn't buried there. If I'd seen it sooner, maybe I wouldn't be damned. But now, I go to answer for the lives I let vanish. Sam glanced through the open door, where his daughter lay sleeping, and beyond her, Duke resting in the clinic wing, still fighting. He was right, he whispered. Duke knew when no one else did, Catherine added, her voice steadier now, filled with purpose. He believed she was alive. And now, she looked toward the clinic. We owe him the same belief. For Olivia, for him. 6 months after the rescue at Cumberland Farm, spring crept quietly back into Riverdale, Michigan. The Harper home on Maple Street, once heavy with sorrow, now throbbed with quiet signs of life. Tulips planted by Catherine during one of her loneliest days now bloomed a radiant yellow along the walkway Livia's favorite dot inside. Mornings followed a familiar rhythm. Sam flipped pancakes, while Catherine prepped a small lunchbox. Olivia's voice floated in from the living room, reading aloud in soft tones. Now and then broken by the soft thud of Duke's tail against the hardwood, Flordot the German Shepherd's recovery had been a miracle. Dr. Chen had said so herself. After the emergency surgery to remove his ruptured spleen, things went downhill fast. Twice they almost lost him, but each time Olivia visited, something changed. He fought that bond already deep had become something stronger. It made seasoned professionals shake their heads. He's fighting to come back for her, Dr. Chen had said in awe. I've never seen it. It's like his body follows her voice. Now, for months home, Duke still limped a little, but the prognosis had proved far brighter than they dared hope. His coat had grown back, and although he tired quickly, his senses remained razor-sharp, especially when it came to Olivia. And that's why real friends can get through anything, Olivia said, closing the book and glancing down at Duke. 9. Years old now, though her birthday had come and gone behind locked doors, Olivia bore signs of what she'd survived. Her hair was growing back, brushing her shoulders. Still, she kept asking to have it trimmed. Short said it felt wrong when it touched her neck, but it was the invisible wounds that haunted her parents. The night terrors. The way she froze when the doorbell rang. The food stashed beneath her bed. Dr. Abigail Winters, their trauma specialist, had warned them. Healing isn't a straight road. Some days will feel like a leap forward. Others will hurt like day one. They weren't trying to erase the past. He went with Olivia everywhere. School, court hearings, therapy. Even when she gave testimony against her abductors via closed-circuit TV, Duke was there, head resting on her foot, anchoring her. 5 minutes till pancakes, live. Sam called out, arranging the blueberries into a goofy smile like she used to love. The little rituals mattered more now, tiny threads mending the wreckage. The case against the trafficking ring had moved with uncharacteristic urgency. Thompson's journals had blown the doors wide open. Lower-level players flipped fast, cutting deals for leniency. 3 main leaders were awaiting trial, all facing life. James Cooper, whose real name was Michael, Lawson pled guilty to avoid a harsher sentence and got 30 years with no parole. Of the 17 kids rescued in the raids, 15 were back home. The 2 eldest, held the longest, were slowly reconnecting with family under intensive therapy. The Harpers opened their home for monthly meets, a circle of families sharing battle scars. Therapists guided the conversations, but it was often Duke who did the real work. Kids who wouldn't look adults in the eye let him nuzzle into their space. They brushed his fur, whispered secrets into his ears. There's no pretense in him. Margaret Wilson had said at the last meeting, watching Duke sit calmly while 3 kids braided his fur, he just is loyal, steady, like he's saying, "You're safe now." Margaret had become a regular in their lives since the rescue. The woman who had sounded the first alarm at the water plant. At 73, she now led the neighborhood watch, training folks to spot signs of abuse. "Breakfast time, sweetheart," Catherine called from the doorway. She stopped for a moment, watching her daughter, curled against Duke, both bathed in soft morning light. She breathed it in. These were the moments they hoarded. Olivia looked up and smiled. Not the hollow puppet smile of the early days. A real one, Can Duke have a pancake too? Half, Sam said, stepping up behind her. Dr. Chen would scold us if we let him cheat his diet. Duke's ears flicked at the word pancake, his tail giving a slow thump, the way it always did when life felt ... safe. They sat down to eat as a family, something once so ordinary. Now, so treasured. Sam bowed his head for grace, voice catching. "Thank you for bringing us back together." Catherine reached across the table to squeeze Olivia's hand. "I have something to share," Olivia said, her fork poised. "Mrs. Delaney asked if I'd speak to the 3rd grade about Duke for the Heroes Project." Sam and Catherine traded glances, hope laced with caution. Olivia hadn't talked to anyone outside their circle about what had happened. "That sounds lovely," Catherine said gently. "What will you tell them?" Olivia thought for a moment, slipping the pancake half under the table to Duke Isle. "Say heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they're covered in fur. And when everyone else gives up, they still believe." Later that morning, as Sam clipped Duke into his custom harness and Olivia double-checked her backpack, a sheriff's patrol car rolled into the drive, where once it would have sent them into panic. Now it brought a sense of familiarity. "Sheriff." Mitchell stepped out, doffing his hat. "Morning, folks. Thought I'd deliver this one in person." He handed Sam a sealed envelope. "Governor's office. They're planning a ceremony next month. Duke's being honored with the State Animal Hero Award. First time it's ever been given." Duke glanced up at the sound of his name, then lowered, his head back onto Olivia's lap. "He deserves it," Olivia said softly, her hand stroking his ear. "He didn't just save me. He saved all those kids." As they drove off, Sam peeked in the rearview mirror. Olivia leaned into Duke, whispering something that made her face light up, an expression Sam hadn't seen in over a year. Duke listened like he always did, eyes locked on her, soaking in every word. "What were you telling him?" Sam asked. As they neared the school, Olivia adjusted Duke's vest and smiled. "I was reminding him we're the lucky ones. Some kids never come home, some dogs never find what they're looking for." She leaned in to kiss Sam's cheek. "But we found each other. That makes us the luckiest family in the world." Sam watched her walk away, Duke perfectly in sync, keeping pace with her steps. Kids waved hello. Teachers nodded with respect. The school principal stood at the door, another anchor in their journey forward. "The luckiest family in the world," Sam echoed in his mind, tears prickling behind his eyes. All because one dog refused to give up. Friends, if you've come this far with us, then you understand the power of love that comes wrapped in unexpected forms. Duke didn't follow logic, he followed faith. His belief dug through dirt and silence, and found a girl everyone thought was gone. For every parent who's ever feared they were too late, for every grandparent who knew something was off, for every one of us who has leaned on instinct when facts fell short, Duke's story hits home. In a world ruled by cold facts, this German Shepherd reminds us, sometimes truth lives in the heart. As we get older, we worry about the threads that tether us to those we love, children, spouses, friends, but Duke's loyalty assures us, love leaves traces, even when miles stretch long, even when years turn bitter. The bonds forged in love endure. So maybe we can believe again, believe in each other, believe that no matter how dark the night, someone's still out there digging with everything they've got to bring us home.